Hello everyone and welcome back to J1 Aviation, where we'd like to review a couple questions from the FAA Private Pilot Test Prep. So today's questions are on wake turbulence, so let's go. Okay, question number 1. Wingtip vortices are created only when the aircraft is A. Operating at high speeds, B. Heavily loaded, C. Developing lift. So the key to this question is the word only, because in all of these cases the aircraft is creating wingtip vortices. Like answer A, yes they are created at high speeds, but the vortices are greater at lower speeds. And answer B, yes they are produced more so at heavier weights than lighter weights, but lighter weights still produce wingtip vortices. But the question relates to they are only created when. And this leads us to the answer C, developing lift. Vortices are created due to a pressure differential over and under a wing when it is producing lift. So basically during liftoff to touchdown. Okay, question number 2. Wingtip vortices created by large aircraft tend to A, sink below the aircraft generating turbulence, B, rise into the traffic pattern, or C, rise into the takeoff or landing path of a crossing runway. Okay, so the answer here is A, sink below the aircraft generating turbulence. So just as the previous answer, you maybe had to think a little bit. This one maybe is a little bit more straightforward since vortices sink, not rise. Now they may drift left or right depending on any crosswind condition, but in any case, they flow off the wing and then they sink. Okay, question number 3, the last one for today. So when landing behind a large aircraft, the pilot should avoid wake turbulence by staying A, above the aircraft's final approach path and landing beyond the large aircraft's touchdown point, B, below the large aircraft's final approach path and landing before the large aircraft's touchdown point, or C, above the large aircraft's final approach path and landing before the large aircraft's touchdown point. Okay, so the answer here is A, above the large aircraft's final approach path and landing beyond the large aircraft's touchdown point. So when landing behind a large aircraft, your flight path should be above the other aircraft's flight path, since the vortices of the previous aircraft will be sinking. So when that aircraft touches down, the vortices will stop. So you should thus touch down beyond where the large aircraft did. So B will put you into the wake turbulence as you are below the flight path, as well as would C if you touch down prior to the larger aircraft touching down. So let's review a little bit. So avoiding wake turbulence. Wingtip vortices are greatest when the generating aircraft is heavy, clean, and slow. So this condition is most commonly encountered during approaches or departures because the aircraft's angle of attack is at its highest to produce the necessary lift to take off or land. So to minimize the chances of flying through aircraft's wake turbulence, there's a couple things we can do.
Regarding traffic, Cherokee 7209 Foxtrot's 5 miles to the north. We'll overfly the field and enter a left downwind for 24 New Guard.
When you're taking off, you can rotate prior to the point at which the preceding aircraft rotated when taken off behind another aircraft. On approach and landing, you can approach the runway above the preceding aircraft's flight path when landing behind another aircraft and touch down at a point after the point at which that aircraft touched down. And then when you're in cruise or just at a lower level maneuvering, you can avoid flying through another aircraft flight path. And if you're following an aircraft in flight on a similar flight path, try to keep an altitude of around 1,000 feet difference. That will allow the time for the vortices to sink and then to spread out. So there you go, a few questions on wake turbulence. Thanks everyone for riding along today. We'll hope you join us on a future flight, and thanks for flying J1 Aviation.